Let's talk about the primaries that happened on Tuesday. Let's go and put this up there on the screen. So we'd been taking some note of what was going on in Alabama. At the last minute, it seemed that Mo Brooks, the congressman there, might have been able to pull off some sort of upset win. You'll remember he was endorsed by Trump, then unendorsed by Trump
he
for,
went
quote,
woke, Saagar.
going woke. And by woke, he means we need to move on from the 2020 presidential election, and did not commit to investigating and possibly trying to replace President Biden whenever he became a senator, just to give you an idea of how batshit Trump's criteria for endorsing certain candidates are. Anyway, so he moved on to Katie Britt. So she's a 40-year-old. She'll actually be one of the youngest members of the United States Senate. She's a former staffer there. She was definitely the pick of Mitch McConnell and of many of the other establishment types here in Washington. And she overwhelmingly won the runoff election. So that was a victory for Trump, just to show that he could endorse somebody, unendorse somebody, and then endorse somebody else, and that they would be completely fine. However, in the neighboring state of Georgia, it did not work out that way at all. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. So two of the Georgia runoff races that went to the ballot actually went against Trump, which is really interesting. So we have here in the Georgia 6th District, Rich McCormick, and in the Georgia 10th, Mike Collins. Now, they were not endorsed by Trump, but I think that the reason that we put this tweet on there that people need to understand is that, yeah, maybe Trump's endorsed candidates in the Georgia GOP didn't win. However, the two guys who did win, Rich McCormick and Mike Collins, are still pretty hardcore MAGA. So it's not like they're electing liberals in the state of Georgia, but they are not taking their marching orders from Trump in the same way. And I think that there, again, has to be a lot of analysis as to why this is occurring in different states. It's not like the Georgia Republicans are all that more MAGA than the Alabama Republicans,
right.
Or maybe they are. In Alabama, I think, again, that it comes down to the idea of being hostile to Trump. If you appear hostile towards Trump, then that's something that you're going to get punished for. If you just criticize him or you don't engage with his criticism at all, a la Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger, and others, then you will survive. The Georgia Republicans will say, you know, I'm going to think for myself and I'm going to stick with you. So I think that given that these guys who beat the Trump runoff candidates weren't endorsed by Trump, but were still very MAGA in their affect and more, Georgia Republicans were like, you know, maybe Trump got it wrong in this particular case. But if these guys were pro-impeachment or, you know, like a Mitt Romney type, I don't think that they would win. So it's a very, very tricky dance in order to try and win these primaries.
At this point, I don't know that I can apply one rule.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't live there.
I mean, we looked at South Carolina. There was like one pro-impeachment person who won and one who lost. The neighboring district. It's like hard to really look at all of this and apply one single rule. It really seems to be very, very dependent on local conditions, what these candidates said, how hard Trump went against them, what is the state. Georgia seems to be particularly independent-minded about who they decide to support. Could be, this is total speculation, could just be because they were at the center of so much of the Stop the Steal stuff and people had to make up their minds for themselves how they felt about this and how they felt about these candidates. They knew the governor was, you know, very, very conservative in terms of what he had actually done in the state, so that gave them kind of an ability to separate out who the candidates are from whatever Trump is saying. Alabama, the other thing to remember about the Alabama race and Mo Brooks is even though Trump put out the statement saying, oh, we went woke and here's why I unendorsed, the truth of why he unendorsed him is because it looked like he was losing.
Yes, that's right.
So, and the reason why he endorsed Katie Britt is because it looked like she was winning. So then you can't really read that much into it when he's just jumping on the train that already is, I don't know what a train's coming into the station first. We'll go with that. Anyway.
I don't know enough about trains.
So I just look at all of these and it's hard to suss out. Certainly one thing you can say is that Trump's endorsements do not reflect any sort of consistent ideological agenda. There's no doubt about that. It's a weird combination of, you know, who said nice things about him, who's on board with Stop the Steal, who does he just think is going to be a winner so that he can, you know, so he can jump on board. The Oz one is also turning out to be strange in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Obviously, Trump very instrumental in securing the Republican nomination for Oz. I think at this point it's quite clear he would not have won that Republican primary.
There's no chance he would
without Trump's support, because there's even more polling coming out of Pennsylvania that continues to have Fetterman with a lead outside of the margin of error, and even worse, Oz's approval rating way upside down.
It's a disaster.
Because he just hasn't, he obviously is extremely unpopular with Democrats, unpopular with independents, but also hasn't locked in the Republican base. So you can see in that one, you know, Trump really, his force being the thing that pulls this nominee over the finish line, but ultimately may not work out for them in the general election. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.